Have you ever walked out of a conversation, a meeting, just feeling completely steamrolled? I mean, you had the logic, you had the facts, you had the right solution, but you just couldn't get through to them. It's an incredibly frustrating feeling, right? And it all comes down to this myth that we've all been sold, this idea of the broadcaster. You know, the person who talks the most, who's the loudest, who has the most commanding presence, that's the one in control. We're taught that winning an argument is all about verbal dominance. But what if that's exactly why you keep losing? What if the very act of pushing your ideas is what's creating that wall you keep running into? And that leads us to this paradox, and it cuts against pretty much everything we think we know about influence. The truth, and this is backed by neuroscience, is that dominance actually creates its own resistance. See, when you try to convince someone, their brain often registers it as a threat to their status. It's a primal thing. Their higher level thinking literally just shuts down. They stop hearing your logic and only feel your pressure. So the real secret to influence isn't about overpowering the conversation, it's about guiding it. Not by talking more, but by talking less. This really gets to the heart of it. On the left, you've got the push strategy. This is our default mode, right? It's all about dominance, making these forceful statements, and it almost always creates resistance. It's like trying to push a rope. It just doesn't work. But on the right, you have the pull strategy. This isn't about force at all. It's about guidance. It's about asking smart questions and leading people to an agreement. The goal here is to stop being an opponent and start being a navigator. You don't push people to your side. You create a path so clear that they walk it themselves, and they think it was their idea the whole time. So here's our roadmap. First, we're going to dig deep into that push versus pull paradox. Then we'll explore the biological wall of resistance that makes pushing so useless. After that, we'll break down the three-part guidance protocol itself, understand the neuroscience of why it works so well, learn exactly how to apply it, and finally hand you what is essentially a new steering wheel for every conversation you have. Okay, let's jump right into the problem. This is where so many conversations just fall apart. You're armed with facts, you've got good intentions, but you hit this invisible wall. It's a biological barrier you can't seem to get through no matter how much logic you throw at it. And it's not just in your head, it's literally hardwired into our biology. So that first layer of the wall, it has a name, psychological reactance. This is that instant gut-level no you feel when someone tries to persuade you too hard. It's not personal, it's a defense mechanism. The second anyone feels like their freedom to choose is being threatened, their brain has this instinctive negative reaction. Just think of a teenager being told to clean their room. The request is totally reasonable, but the feeling of being told what to do triggers the desire to do the exact opposite. That is reactance right there. And that reactance leads directly to this next, even more frustrating layer, the backfire effect. This is precisely why using facts like a battering ram never, ever works. You make statements, you present your data, you argue your point. But because you're pushing, you're forcing them into a defensive crouch. To their brain, admitting you're right now feels like losing status. So what do? Instead of changing their mind, they dig in their heels looking for any reason to reject your facts, becoming even more committed to their original idea. You haven't opened their mind, you've just slammed it shut. And this is the real cost of that push strategy. You might feel like you're scoring points, but what you're really doing is creating social friction. That feeling of talking to a brick wall, that's what this is. The more logic you throw at them, the more stubborn they get. And this isn't about you lacking charisma. It's their brain hitting a biological veto button. You are, quite literally, trying to drive a car with the emergency brake pulled all the way up. You can floor the gas pedal all you want. You're just going to make a lot of noise and smell burning rubber. You are going nowhere. So how do we release that parking brake? Well, that's where the solution comes in, the guidance protocol. This is a structured three-part system designed to steer any conversation without all that friction. This isn't about manipulation, it's about genuine collaboration. Think of it as a navigation system for human rapport. It helps you bypass all those defensive walls and connect directly with the logical, problem-solving part of the other person's brain. We call this the ego disarmer because that is exactly what it's designed to do. It works with human nature, not against it. You see, the ego's main job in any social setting is to protect our sense of autonomy, our status. The push strategy is a direct assault on that ego. But this protocol, it's different. It uses 3 specific techniques to just sidestep the ego entirely, making agreement feel not just possible, but like a natural shared conclusion. You stop being a broadcaster, shouting a message, and become a navigator, charting a course. Together. All right, here are the 3 steps. First up, linguistic mirroring. Instead of making your next point, you simply repeat the last 1 to 3 words they said back to them, but as a question. So if they say this timeline is completely unrealistic, you don't argue. You just say, completely unrealistic? This creates this little conversational vacuum that they feel compelled to fill. It makes them explain themselves, and more importantly, it makes them feel heard. Second, affective labeling. You just make a safe observation about their emotional state, using phrases like, it seems like, or it sounds like. So if they say, I've been buried in this for a month, you respond, it sounds like you're exhausted. You're not judging, you're just showing them you get it. And third, calibrated inquiry. These are the game-changing how and what questions that put them in charge of solving the problem. Instead of saying, we have to do this, you ask, how can we make this work? You're handing them the problem, but you're also handing them the power to solve it. So that's the what. A pretty simple 3-part system. But why does it work so darn well? Well, it all comes down to the science, the neurobiology of trust. This isn't just about being polite. You are actively changing the chemical state of the other person's brain. And this is the critical shift that happens inside their head. When someone feels pushed or threatened, their amygdala, that's the brain's ancient emotional smoke detector, it goes haywire. It floods their system with stress hormones and shuts down rational thought. But when you ask a calibrated how or what question, you manually shift their brain's focus. You move them away from the amygdala and engage their dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the DLPFC. Think of the DLPFC as the brain's CEO, the part responsible for logic and planning. You are literally turning off the fire alarm and inviting the CEO back into the room to solve the problem. And this brain shift triggers a really powerful, really positive chemical reaction. When a person feels truly understood, because you're mirroring and labeling, their brain releases oxytocin. You've probably heard of it. They call it the trust molecule, or the hug drug. It literally lowers their social defenses and makes them feel safe and connected. At the same time, because you're giving them space to talk and problem solve, their brain's reward center gets a nice little hit of dopamine from the act of self-expression. You're actually making it feel good for them to cooperate with you. This flushes all the conflict out, allowing your brains to get on the same wavelength, literally. Okay, so we've covered the theory and the science behind why pushing fails and pulling succeeds. Now let's get practical. How do you turn this knowledge into a real skill? How do you actually start doing this like today? This is all about mastering the art of the pull. So here's your first exercise. We'll call it the mirror test. I want you to try this in your next low-stakes conversation with a barista, a friend, whoever. Step 1, listen, and just repeat the last few words they say as a question. Your tone should be genuinely curious. Step 2, and this is so important, just pause. Embrace that silence for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Let them fill it. Step 3, try a label. Use that phrase, it seems like, to name an emotion. It seems like you're concerned about the budget. And finally, step 4, if you get a hard no, don't argue. Just ask, how am I supposed to do that? This is a brilliant question that puts the ball right back in their court to solve the problem they just created. And this right here is the heart of the technique. The true power isn't in what you say, it's in the space you create. That strategic pause after a mirror creates a vacuum. And human nature absolutely hates a vacuum. They will feel an almost overwhelming urge to fill that silence, and they'll often do it with the exact information or solution you were looking for in the first place. You're not talking more, you are leading better. And for the first time, you're actually in control of the outcome without ever having to raise your voice. All right, let's bring it all home. We've figured out the problem of conversational friction, we've looked at the biology behind why it happens, and we've built a brand new system to replace it. This is more than just a tactic. It's a whole new operating system for how you communicate. It's your new steering wheel. So, after everything we've talked about, let's go back to that fundamental question. In any conversation, a negotiation, a team meeting, a tough family talk, who is the person who's actually in control? Is it the person with the loudest voice? The one with the fancy title? The one with all the data? Or is it someone else? Here it is, the ultimate takeaway. The person asking the questions is the person in control. Influence isn't about the strength of your voice, it's about the precision of your guidance. Look, people will fight your ideas to the bitter end, but they will champion their own. The whole point of the guidance protocol is to make your solution their idea. You're not winning an argument, you're co-creating a solution that they now feel invested in. And that is the ultimate mantra for real leadership and real influence. Don't push them to accept your solution. Lead them to discover it for themselves, and they will own it with a level of commitment you can never get through force. So your challenge is simple. Go out and try a mirror test. In your next conversation, just repeat the last 3 words someone says. Pause for 5 seconds and just watch what happens. Stop pushing, start pulling. Stop broadcasting, start navigating.